Stop guessing. The difference between an underwhelming trickle and a powerful, voluminous flood isn't luck, it isn't genetics, and it certainly isn't some vague mystery you just have to accept. It's a system. It's a biological machine with levers and dials that you can learn to control. And today, I'm giving you the exact biological blueprint to not just understand that system, but to seize command of it starting right now. This is about moving from being a passenger in your own body to being the pilot in the cockpit. But you have to listen, and you have to follow every single step in the order it's given. This isn't a buffet where you can pick and choose what seems easy. Each piece builds upon the last, creating a synergistic effect that is far more powerful than the sum of its parts. Because the final piece of this entire puzzle isn't just another biohack, it's a fundamental mindset shift. It's the psychological key that connects all of these precise physical changes directly to your core masculine confidence. If you skip any part of this, you'll miss the one critical link that actually makes it all work, and you'll be left with a handful of disconnected tips instead of a life-altering system. Fluid dynamics. Let's cut right through the noise, bypassing all the distractions and myths. Before we even whisper a word about exotic supplements, complex protocols, or secret timing strategies, we must establish the absolute non-negotiable bedrock of this entire system. If you get this one foundational element wrong, everything else we discussed today is rendered completely and utterly useless. I'm talking about hydration. And I don't mean casually sipping a glass of water when your mouth feels dry. I mean turning your body into a hyper-hydrated, high-performance machine. It is the single most critical and fastest lever you can possibly pull to see a tangible, measurable, and often dramatic difference in volume. Why is this so non-negotiable? The answer lies in the elegant simplicity of your own biology. Your seminal fluid, the very substance we are aiming to maximize, is approximately 90% water. That is not an exaggeration or a catchy talking point. It is a cold, hard biological fact. When your body enters a state of even minor dehydration, it initiates a brutal, system-wide triage protocol. It goes into conservation mode. Your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, these vital organs get first priority on all available water resources. Your reproductive system, in the grand scheme of immediate survival, your body considers it a non-essential luxury. Your body's internal logic is as ruthless as it is efficient. It constantly asks itself a fundamental question. Do I need to maintain blood pressure to keep the heart pumping, or do I need to prepare for procreation? Faced with that choice, it will always choose immediate survival. Always. So, when you starve your body of water, you are directly and immediately starving your production facilities. The factory, in the most literal sense, runs out of its primary raw material. Think of it like a high-end beverage company trying to operate during a severe drought. They can have the finest glass bottles, the most advanced bottling machinery, and the most delicious flavor concentrates in the world. But without water, they cannot produce a single drop of their product. You are that factory. Every other nutrient, every other protocol we are going to discuss represents the glass bottles and the flavor concentrates. But water is the substance itself. It is the element that provides the volume, the form, and the very function of the final product. Getting this right is the baseline. It is ground zero. It's the foundation upon which the entire skyscraper of peak performance is built. Neglect this, and you are trying to build that skyscraper on a foundation of quicksand. So, what does this level of extreme hydration actually look like in practice? You must completely erase the generic 8 glasses a day mantra from your mind. That was a marketing slogan, a one-size-fits-all piece of advice that is utterly useless for anyone pursuing genuine optimization. We need to be precise and personal. A far better starting point is to take your body weight in pounds, divide that number by 2, and drink that many ounces of water per day as your absolute minimum. So a 200-pound man needs a baseline of 100 ounces of water daily. That's approximately 3 liters, and that's just the starting line. If you exercise and sweat, if you drink coffee or alcohol, both of which are diuretics, or if you live in a hot climate, that number must go up significantly. You are aiming for a state where your urine is consistently a very pale, light yellow, almost like diluted lemonade. That is the real-time visual feedback confirming that your system is fully saturated. It's the sign that your body has finally received enough water to service all its critical survival functions and can now afford to generously allocate this precious resource to non-essential but highly desirable functions like maximizing seminal volume. But here's a crucial detail that most people miss. It's not just about the sheer quantity of water you drink. It's about absorption. You can chug a gallon of water, but if your body can't effectively transport that water from your gut into your cells, you're just going to be flushing it out, putting a strain on your kidneys for no real benefit. This is where electrolytes become the unsung heroes of hydration. I'm talking about minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These aren't just for marathon runners. They are the literal gatekeepers of cellular hydration. They manage the fluid balance inside and outside your cells. Adding a small pinch of high-quality, unrefined sea salt or a dedicated electrolyte powder into your water can dramatically increase how effectively your body utilizes the fluid you're consuming. It acts like a key, unlocking the doors to your cells and allowing the water to rush in. This simple act transforms the water from a simple liquid passing through you into a highly bioavailable, performance-enhancing solution. And the benefits compound. Proper hydration improves blood flow and lowers blood viscosity, meaning all the other powerful nutrients we're about to discuss can be transported more efficiently to the testes. You're not just filling the tank, you're building a multi-lane superhighway for all the critical building blocks to reach the factory floor with maximum speed and efficiency. This is step one. Master it, and you have already won half the battle. This deliberate commitment to hyperhydration creates a powerful and immediate feedback loop. Within a matter of days, you won't just notice the specific physical changes we're targeting, but you will almost certainly feel a profound cognitive and energetic shift. Your brain is over 70% water. Your energy levels are directly tied to cellular hydration. By implementing this protocol, you're not just tweaking one output, you are fundamentally upgrading your entire operating system. This is the core mindset of a true biohacker. We don't just treat symptoms, we optimize the entire system from the ground up, starting with the most foundational element and building methodically from there. The confidence you gain from seeing a direct physical result from a disciplined change in your daily habits is profound. It's the first proof of concept that you are, in fact, in control of your own biology. It's the moment you stop being a passive passenger and become the pilot of your own high-performance vehicle. This is fluid dynamics. It's not just about drinking water. It's about commanding the most fundamental element of your biological self. Production fuel. Now that we have successfully established the foundational layer of hydration, the superhighway for nutrient delivery, it's time to talk about what we're actually putting on that highway. It's time to stock the factory. If water is the solvent that creates the immense volume, then a specific set of micronutrients are the raw materials, the actual molecular building blocks from which your body meticulously constructs both the sperm cells themselves and the nourishing fluid that carries them. You cannot build a modern skyscraper with just sand and dirt. You require high-tensile steel, reinforced concrete, and specialized glass. In the same way, your body cannot operate its production line at maximum capacity if it is starved of the key molecular components it needs. We are going to bypass all the marketing fluff and the flavor of the month supplements to focus exclusively on the scientifically validated, high-impact nutrients that are directly involved in spermatogenesis and semen production. This is about fueling your factory with premium-grade, blueprint-specific materials. The first and most critically important mineral we must discuss is zinc. If there is one single element you should focus on above all others, this is it. Zinc is the undisputed master mineral for all aspects of male hormonal health. It plays a pivotal role in the synthesis of testosterone, and it is found in extremely high concentrations in seminal fluid for a very good reason. It is absolutely integral to both sperm motility and morphology, which in simple terms means how well the sperm can swim and whether they are formed correctly with a healthy structure. A deficiency in zinc is one of the single most common and direct causes of low volume and poor overall sperm health. Think of zinc as the master spark plug of the entire reproductive engine. Without a powerful and consistent spark, the engine simply cannot ignite, no matter how much fuel is available. You must ensure a consistent, high-quality supply. The best food sources are oysters, which are legendary for a reason, as well as beef, pumpkin seeds, and lentils. If you choose to supplement, look for a chelated form like zinc picolinate or zinc gluconate, which ensures better absorption, typically in the 15-30 ml per day range. Next on our list of essential fuels is selenium. If zinc is the spark plug that ignites the engine, selenium is the master antioxidant that protects the engine from its own exhaust fumes. The process of creating millions of sperm cells is metabolically intensive and, as a byproduct, generates a tremendous amount of oxidative stress. You can think of this as the factory producing a lot of toxic industrial waste during its manufacturing process. This oxidative stress, caused by unstable molecules called free radicals, can severely damage the delicate membranes and DNA of developing sperm cells, leading to a decreased count and poor quality. Selenium is a key component of an enzyme called glutathione peroxidase, which is one of your body's most powerful internally produced antioxidants. It is the specialized cleanup crew that tirelessly patrols the assembly line, neutralizing threats and protecting the final product from damage. The best part? It's incredibly easy to get. Just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts per day is typically enough to meet your entire daily requirement. It's one of the simplest, most elegant, and most effective biohacks you can possibly implement. This isn't just about making more. It's about diligently protecting the quality of what you make. We also must talk about the vital role of folic acid, also known as vitamin B9. Most people mistakenly associate this nutrient exclusively with prenatal health for women, but it is just as critically important for men who are optimizing for production and potency. Folic acid is absolutely essential for the process of DNA synthesis and repair. Remember, every single one of the tens of millions of sperm cells in a single release contains a complete copy of your DNA. If your body has an insufficient supply of folic acid, it cannot properly and accurately replicate that DNA. This can lead to chromosomal abnormalities in the sperm, which not only impacts fertility, but also acts as a quality control signal to your body. If the DNA replication process is faulty, the body may intelligently decide to downregulate the entire production system to avoid creating defective products. You can get ample folic acid from leafy green vegetables like spinach and kale, as well as from beans, lentils, and fortified grains. It's a fundamental component that ensures the quality control department of your factory is running at peak specification. Finally, let's add a highly specialized amino acid to our performance stack, L-carnitine. This unique compound is all about energy logistics. It acts as a sophisticated transport system, a microscopic shuttle bus that carries long-chain fatty acids directly into the mitochondria, the power plants of your cells. Sperm cells, in particular, require a tremendous amount of cellular energy, ATP, to mature properly and to be vigorously motile upon release. L-carnitine is the dedicated fuel delivery truck that ensures the power plants inside each developing sperm cell are running at absolute full capacity, burning fuel efficiently. It's no surprise, then, that low levels of L-carnitine in the body have been directly and repeatedly linked in scientific studies to low sperm count and poor motility. Excellent food sources include red meat, particularly beef, as well as fish and chicken. For those looking to truly optimize, supplementing with a form like acetyl L-carnitine can provide a more direct and potent dose, significantly enhancing the energy metabolism of your entire reproductive factory. By strategically ensuring your daily intake of these 4 key ingredients, zinc, selenium, folic acid, and L-carnitine, you are moving far beyond the simple act of providing water. You are now supplying the specific, high-grade molecular materials that the factory requires to run at its absolute peak performance. You are giving the specialized workers on the assembly line every single tool and component they need to not only meet their quota, but to shatter it, both in sheer quantity and in functional quality. This isn't guesswork or randomly popping pills. This is targeted nutritional biochemistry. It's about understanding the intricate biological process at a molecular level and then providing the precise inputs required for the desired output. You are seizing direct control of the supply chain of your own biology. This is how you fuel the factory for maximum high-quality production. In temperature control, we've covered the fluid dynamics and we've covered the production fuel. We've ensured the factory has its raw materials and the transport system to deliver them. Now, we must talk about the most sensitive aspect of the entire operation, the factory's working environment. Your production facility is incredibly, exquisitely sensitive to one specific environmental variable: heat. Elevated temperature is the single greatest external enemy of healthy sperm and semen production. Your body understands this profound vulnerability, and over millennia of evolution, it has engineered a brilliant, if somewhat exposed, solution, placing the testes outside the main body cavity within the scrotum. This is not a design flaw or a biological accident. It is a deliberate and crucial piece of thermal engineering. The entire purpose of this design is to keep the factory a few critical degrees cooler than your core body temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, or 37 degrees Celsius. Spermatogenesis, the complex 74-day process of creating sperm, operates optimally only within this slightly cooler, carefully regulated temperature range. When you consistently or acutely expose this delicate area to excess heat, you are, without any exaggeration, slowly cooking the machinery. The damage is insidious and happens at a deep cellular level. Heat can denature or break down the very proteins and enzymes that are essential for sperm to mature correctly. It dramatically increases oxidative stress, the exact cellular rust that we're trying to combat with selenium. In more extreme cases, it can directly kill off entire generations of developing sperm cells and trigger a panic signal for the body to halt production altogether. This is fundamentally a survival mechanism. A high fever, for instance, can temporarily obliterate your sperm count for weeks, sometimes even months, because the body correctly interprets that systemic heat as a catastrophic, life-threatening event. But most of us aren't dealing with raging fevers on a daily basis. The real enemy for the modern man is something far more subtle: the chronic, low-grade heat exposure we unknowingly subject ourselves to every single day. These habits consistently and silently sabotage our output. This step is all about identifying and ruthlessly eliminating these subtle but powerful negative inputs. Let's begin with the most common and easily corrected offender: your choice of underwear. Tight, restrictive, and synthetic underwear, think of polyester or nylon briefs, are a devastating triple threat to your thermal environment. First, they press the testes up against the warmth of your body, completely eliminating the natural cooling air gap the scrotum is designed to create. Second, they severely restrict airflow, trapping heat and moisture against your skin. And third, the synthetic fabrics themselves don't breathe, creating a warm, damp, swamp-like microenvironment that is the absolute worst-case scenario for optimal production. The solution is simple, immediate, and profoundly effective. Switch to loose-fitting, natural fabric boxer shorts. Cotton, bamboo, or merino wool allows for constant air circulation and lets the scrotum hang naturally, doing the precise job it was designed to do: autonomously regulate its own temperature. This isn't a matter of comfort or style. It's a critical adjustment to the operating environment of your most sensitive biological machinery. The second major source of this detrimental heat is our modern sedentary lifestyle. When you sit for prolonged periods, especially on a soft, cushioned chair or a car seat, you create a pocket of trapped heat and pressure around your groin. The combination of insulation from the cushion and the lack of airflow effectively turns your seat into a slow cooker. For men who work desk jobs, are professional drivers, or are simply gamers who sit for hours on end, this presents a constant, daily battle against your own biology. The key is to introduce regular, conscious movement. Stand up from your desk and walk around for a few minutes every single hour. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. If you're on a long drive, make it a non-negotiable rule to pull over for a quick stretch break. This simple act of breaking up your sitting time allows the area to cool down, reset its thermal environment, and restore blood flow. It seems trivial, but over the course of an 8-hour workday, the cumulative effect of staying seated versus taking these small breaks is absolutely massive. Then, we have the more obvious sources of intense heat that we must learn to consciously avoid or eliminate. Laptops are a prime example. They are called laptops, but your lap is the absolute last place they should ever be. The significant heat generated by the processor and battery transfers directly through your clothing and into your body, concentrating right in the area you want to keep cool. Always use a laptop on a desk, a table, or at the very least, a lap desk that provides a solid barrier and allows air to circulate underneath. Similarly, hot tubs, saunas, and excessively hot baths need to be approached with extreme caution. While they may feel relaxing for your mind and muscles, they create a catastrophically hot environment for your testes. A single 15-minute session in a typical hot tub can raise scrotal temperature to a level that can measurably impair sperm production for weeks afterward. If maximizing this biological system is your goal, you have to severely limit or eliminate these activities. It's a direct and unavoidable trade-off: temporary relaxation versus the long-term optimization of this specific system. By actively managing your thermal environment, you are doing something truly profound. You are stopping the constant, low-grade sabotage. You are removing the hidden obstacles that are preventing your factory from running at its natural, intended, optimal state. While the other steps, hydration and nutrition, are about adding positive inputs, this step is about removing negative ones, which can often be even more powerful and produce faster results. You are creating the perfect, climate-controlled facility for production to flourish. This requires a new level of conscious awareness of your daily habits: how you sit, what you wear, where you place your devices. But this awareness is power. It's the tangible understanding that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your environment. Mastering temperature control is a fundamental aspect of mastering your own biological output. Strategic release. This is the part of the process where we need to stop, take a moment, and systematically dismantle a pervasive and deeply flawed myth. Many men operate under the belief that to achieve maximum volume, they must abstain from ejaculation for incredibly long periods, weeks, or even longer. The logic on the surface seems intuitive. If you don't empty the tank, it will just keep filling up and filling up, leading to a massive, record-breaking release when you finally do. But your biology is infinitely more complex and dynamic than a simple water tank. This hoarding strategy is not only largely ineffective for maximizing volume, but it can actually be deeply counterproductive to the quality, health, and potency of what you're producing. We need to replace this flawed, simplistic model with a more intelligent, science-backed approach: strategic release. This is about understanding and working with your body's natural production and recharge cycle, not fighting against it. Let's take a closer look at what is actually happening inside your body on a biological timeline. Your production facilities are in a constant 24/7 state of manufacturing. It takes roughly 74 days for a brand new sperm cell to be created and to fully mature. At any given moment, you have literally millions of sperm in various stages of this development pipeline, with the finished product being held in a coiled tube called the epididymis, which acts as a staging and storage area. When you abstain for a very long time, say over a week or 10 days, a few things happen. Yes, the total volume of seminal fluid from the prostate and seminal vesicles might increase slightly. However, the sperm cells themselves, which are waiting in storage, begin to age. They lose motility, their DNA can become fragmented from oxidative damage, and they become less viable. The body, in its wisdom, recognizes this. Its natural response to a growing stockpile of old, expired, and less viable sperm is to begin a process of breaking them down and reabsorbing them. So, you are not actually accumulating a more potent, powerful load. You are creating a logistical storage problem for aging product. The factory's back room gets filled up with expired goods, which sends a signal back to the production line that there's a surplus, potentially slowing down new production. It's a system of diminishing returns. On the other end of the spectrum, ejaculating too frequently, for example, multiple times every single day, also presents a clear problem for our goal. While the factory is always running, it does have a finite production and replenishment rate. Very frequent ejaculation doesn't give the system enough time to fully restock the epididymis with mature sperm and, just as importantly, to replenish the seminal fluids from the prostate gland and seminal vesicles, which make up the bulk of the volume. This is precisely why a second or third release within a very short period is often noticeably less voluminous. You're essentially trying to ship out product faster than the factory can produce, package, and stage it for delivery. So the extreme of hoarding is counterproductive, and the extreme of constant depletion is also counterproductive. The optimal strategy, the sweet spot, lies directly in the middle. It's a rhythm. The sweet spot for the vast majority of men, for the specific goal of maximizing both volume and potency per individual release, seems to be a frequency of every 2 to 4 days. This specific rhythm allows for what can be considered a full recharge cycle. It provides the body with enough time to produce and store a significant quantity of fresh, healthy, high-quality sperm and to generate the maximum amount of seminal fluid to accompany it. Crucially, however, this interval is not so long that the stored sperm begin to degrade and be reabsorbed. Think of it like a farmer harvesting a valuable crop. You don't want to harvest the tiny sprouts right after they break the soil, and you certainly don't want to wait until the fruit has over-ripened and rotted on the vine. You want to harvest at the absolute peak of ripeness. A 2 to 4 day cycle allows you to consistently harvest your crop at that peak. Of course, this is a powerful general guideline, not a rigid, unbreakable rule. The ultimate goal is for you to become a dedicated student of your own body. Start paying close attention to the feedback your body gives you. What do you notice at a 2-day interval versus a 3-day or 4-day interval? Your personal optimal frequency might be 2.5 days or 3.5 days. This can be influenced by your age, your stress levels, your sleep quality, and how diligently you are following all the other protocols we're discussing. The key is to shift your mindset away from the simplistic idea that more abstinence is always better and toward a more sophisticated goal of finding your personal, sustainable, optimal rhythm. This is the difference between a brute force strategy and an intelligent, targeted one. By implementing a strategic release protocol, you are consciously aligning your actions with your body's innate biological processes. You're no longer fighting against them or guessing about them. You are flowing with them in a state of synergy. You are transforming from a passive observer into an active manager of your own output, deliberately timing your releases for peak performance. This process debunks the simplistic myths and replaces them with a nuanced, personalized understanding of your own physiology. This level of control and self-awareness is intensely empowering. It's another crucial layer of mastery. You're no longer guessing or hoping for a good result. You are executing a deliberate strategy based on biological principles to achieve a predictable and powerful outcome. This is how you move from being a passive participant to a strategic operator of your own biology. System upgrade. We've laid the solid foundation with hydration. We've supplied the factory with premium fuel. We've meticulously controlled the thermal environment, and we have intelligently timed the release schedule. Now it is time for the system-wide upgrade. These are the powerful lifestyle accelerators, the overarching factors that will amplify the results of all your other dedicated efforts. Think of these as upgrading the factory's main power supply, its central command computer, and its final delivery mechanism. If you neglect these areas, you're essentially trying to run high-performance, precision machinery on a faulty, flickering electrical grid. These upgrades, sleep, stress management, and targeted physical exercise, don't just improve one isolated metric, they elevate your entire biological operating system, leading to profound improvements in volume, potency, and the final propulsive force. Let's start with the most potent and most criminally underrated performance-enhancing drug on the entire planet: sleep. Sleep is not a passive state of just turning off. It's an active, dynamic state of radical repair, cellular regeneration, and most importantly for our purposes, hormonal production. The vast majority of your body's daily testosterone production occurs during the deep and REM stages of sleep. When you consistently get less than 7 to 8 hours of high-quality, uninterrupted sleep per night, you are directly and severely crippling your body's ability to manufacture its primary male sex hormone. Testosterone is the master hormone that drives libido, energy, motivation, and, critically, sends the primary signal to the testes to ramp up production. Chronic sleep deprivation is like trying to run your production factory with the CEO on permanent vacation. The orders from upper management simply don't come down to the factory floor. Furthermore, a lack of sufficient sleep dramatically jacks up your levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Cortisol is the biochemical arch nemesis of testosterone. They exist in an inverse relationship, like two sides of a seesaw. When cortisol is high, testosterone is inevitably suppressed. Cortisol is a catabolic hormone, which means its primary function is to break things down for emergency fuel. Testosterone is an anabolic hormone. Its function is to build things up. By failing to get adequate sleep, you are intentionally creating a hormonal environment that is fundamentally hostile to production, growth, and vitality. Prioritizing a consistent sleep schedule, creating a pitch black and cool sleep environment, and avoiding the blue light from screens an hour before bed isn't just good advice. It is a non-negotiable protocol for hormonal optimization. It's the foundational upgrade that allows all of your other efforts to truly flourish. This leads us directly to our next essential upgrade: active stress management. In our hyper-connected modern world, we are constantly bombarded with sources of chronic psychological stress. Pressure from work, financial worries, and complex relationship dynamics. The critical thing to understand is that your ancient nervous system does not differentiate between the acute stress of being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and the chronic stress of an overflowing email inbox. The physiological response is identical: a flood of cortisol. As we just established, chronically elevated cortisol levels crush testosterone and lock your body into a catabolic survival-first state. Your reproductive system is one of the very first systems to be downregulated when your brain perceives that you are in constant, unending danger. It's a simple biological truth. You cannot be in a state of fight or flight and a state of rest and digest, which includes all functions of procreation, at the exact same time. Therefore, implementing a deliberate daily stress management practice is not a soft luxury. It is a core, hard science component of this entire system. This could be a daily 10-minute meditation practice using an app. It could be simple but powerful breathwork exercises like the 4-7-8 method. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. It could be spending time in nature or engaging in a hobby that gets you into a deep flow state. These practices actively lower cortisol levels and shift your autonomic nervous system from a sympathetic fight or flight state back to its baseline parasympathetic rest and digest state. This creates the calm, safe, anabolic internal environment that is absolutely necessary for your reproductive factory to not just function, but to truly thrive. You are consciously sending a message to your body that says, "It is safe. We are not in danger." You have permission to allocate resources to growth, repair, and production. Finally, let's upgrade the physical hardware with a very specific and targeted form of exercise. I'm not talking about general fitness, though that is important. I am talking about directly training the muscle that governs the final stage of this process, the pubococcygeus or PC muscle. This is the powerful sling of muscle in your pelvic floor that contracts rhythmically and forcefully during orgasm to propel semen outward. A stronger, more well-trained PC muscle leads directly to stronger, more powerful, more forceful contractions. This enhances not only the volume and distance of the release, but can also improve the sensation and your control over the entire experience. These exercises, often called Kegels for men, are remarkably simple to perform. You can easily identify the muscle by attempting to stop the flow of urine midstream. That feeling of clenching inward and upward is the muscle you want to work. You can then perform sets of these contractions, squeezing and holding for a count of 3 to 5 seconds, then relaxing at any time throughout the day. It's a completely discrete exercise you can do while driving, sitting at your desk, or watching TV. Strengthening this muscle is like upgrading the cannon itself. You've already increased the amount and quality of the gunpowder, the volume and potency, and now you are dramatically increasing the power of the firing mechanism. This doesn't just impact the aesthetics of a powerful release, it's a complete functional upgrade that puts the finishing touch on the entire system. When you combine the optimal volume generated from hyperhydration and targeted nutrition with the immense propulsive force of a well-trained PC muscle, the end result is an entirely new level of output and experience. This comprehensive system upgrade, mastering sleep, managing stress, and training the specific musculature is what separates a casual attempt from a true holistic biohacking protocol. It is the final layer of powerful optimization. This brings us to the ultimate point of this entire journey. This process isn't just about chasing a single isolated physical metric, it's about taking complete and total command of your own biological systems. It's about the profound realization that you are not just a passenger subject to the whims of your body. You are the engineer, you are the head nutritionist, you are the environmental controller, and you are the CEO of your own biology. Every single choice you make, the water you drink, the foods you eat, the quality of your sleep, the stress you choose to manage, is a direct input into your system, and you have absolute control over those inputs. When you see, and more importantly feel, the powerful output that results from this disciplined, intelligent, and systematic approach, the feeling is more profound than the physical result itself. It is the feeling of true mastery. It is the deep, unshakable, core confidence that comes from knowing that you understand your own body at a fundamental level, and that you can command it to operate at its absolute peak. That is the real power. That is the ultimate goal.